Hello and welcome to a video by Jay Sherry. Today I want to show you how to use iMovie and create an effective video for a project. The first thing I'm going to walk us through is a new program called Photos on the MacBook that will be very helpful for using keynotes and iMovies. It's a great way to collect photos. The first thing we need to do is go into Safari. Safari is the browser we'll need to use for this. So if we look up a picture of Ethiopia, we see we get a lot of different options. So this is a flag of Ethiopia, and I'm going to add this to the program Photos. If I right click on this image, it will say Add Image to Photos. If we select that option, it adds this image to our program called Photos. You see I have two photos in the program Photos. We can add these easily now to iMovie, Keynote, and other applications, including Pages on the MacBook. So now we're going to open up iMovie. In iMovie, we're going to create a new project. So you click Create New on the upper left corner. You can do a trailer or a movie, but for most projects you're going to do in class, movie is the best option to go with. It's going to give you a lot of different options for themes. A lot of these are really great, but they can kind of tie you into one idea. And to fill out most of the requirements the teacher might have for you, no theme is the best way to go. So we're going to go with no theme. It's going to ask you to name your movie. Helpful to name this after a project. That way if you do multiple iMovies throughout the year, you can find it easily. So now I've created a new project. Now I've already added some things to mine, so you'll see some options for me to drag already, but I'm going to go ahead and click on My Movie 2. Now down here is blank. We've added no videos, no pictures, no transitions, no titles, nothing. So we have a blank bottom place to work with. Now your best friend for working on an iMovie project to start off with is a title. Titles is over on the left hand side underneath Content Library. Once you click on Titles, you will see a lot of different options for you to use. Now some of these are really neat, but to convey information, you usually want to stick with something where the text is in the middle and it's not going to be moving too much. So if we go with something like a reveal, and if you drag your mouse across the box, you'll see a demonstration on the right of what it's going to do. So you see this one shows and then slowly fades out. So this is going to be our first box we use. So I'm going to click and drag it down to our bottom. This is our workspace, so I've dragged it to the bottom. Now if you notice, this box is quite large. That way I can really do a lot of editing. To change how large your box is appear on the bottom, if we click on this item on the right, say clip size, we can zoom out, zoom in. So we want to get really detailed, you can zoom in, and when you look at the whole project so far, you can zoom out. We're going to go about this size. So when I select this box, you'll see up here what's going to appear in the movie. This is kind of your preview for your whole movie you're creating. We see it says title text here. So if I double click here, I'm treating this like a Word document. I can type inside of it. So if I do Ethiopia, there's my text. Now, just like with Word or with Pages, you can change the size of your text. You can change what font your text is in, what direction it orients itself with. Make the letters bold. You can also do to where the words themselves look different, that way they show up better on the screen. Now, one important thing to think about when you're using text on a iMovie. this isn't a PowerPoint, your iMovie is going to be constantly moving. So putting a lot of information on a screen can be hard for the viewers to pay attention to and follow along with. So usually you want to have main points on there, and your voiceover is going to get most of the information. If you ever see anything on his channel or another show, they might have a few facts, but they don't have a full page of text because it's too hard for the viewer to read everything effectively. Now, if we see with Ethiopia, I have one line of text. I could put multiple lines. If I press enter, it's going to, if I keep typing, so I'll just type a little bit of nonsense to get some ideas of what's going on. You'll see that it spans to more lines, so I can have more information. This is where having the size of text the right type is really very helpful. That way it fills up the screen as you want to. Okay, so I have my title. I click out of it, and now that's what this screen says. You can see down here that it says Ethiopia. It will usually have the beginning of the text you have. So if I go over to the left with my mouse and click once, I'm now at the beginning of my video. I can press a space bar, and it'll give me a preview on the right of what the viewer will see. Now this is a 4-second clip. You can see right here the movie as a whole is 4 seconds, and this is a 4-second clip. If I want to extend the clip, if I hover my mouse to the right or left side of it, I can drag it to make it longer. So I'll make this first one 7 seconds. Okay, now we're going to take advantage of us adding pictures to our Photos app. Now if we go to Photos Library up at the top left, if we click on it, we'll see the pictures we added into Photos right here and easily available to add. No searching, no having to drag from your desktop, it's right here. So we'll go with Ethiopian flag. If I drag it down here to the right, puts it in. Now iMovie puts everything in as a 4-second interval, usually because anything shorter than that can go by pretty fast. So now we have a picture at a 4-second interval. Now if I click on the picture, it's highlighted, and I have different options for what I want to do. So if I click on color correction, I can change the color, make it darker. Over on the right, I can actually make it black and white. This could be good for some pictures you want to set a mood. Now, I have my first clip and my second clip. So now my video is a total of 11 seconds with 7-second longs on the first one and then 4 seconds on the other. Now, you can see I'm having a hard time seeing both clips at the same time. While this is good for editing at a close aspect, if I want to see my whole movie, remember you go back over to the right and you can zoom out or zoom in on your clip size so you have more options. You also can take 2 fingers on your trackpad and scrunch in or scrunch out, and it will zoom in for you. That's another option if you really want to see everything you're working with. Now, if I click over to the left, I can press play, and we'll have Ethiopia on the screen, and you see the cursor moving across, and once we go to the next, it abruptly shows the picture. Now, we're going to add a transition. A transition is a way of transitioning from your first shot to your second shot. You can leave a clean cut, but you can also have fades, fades out, fade to black, fade to white, all kinds of different options. So if I click on transitions on the bottom left, I have all my options for different ideas I want to have. Now the same as before, if I drag my mouse across it from the left to right, I can see an example of what this looks like. So we're going to use this cross blur, one of my favorites to use. And if I drag it, I want to drag it between the two. Now, I have my transition, and if I press play, I can see that it fades out and then fades into the flag. Now it's a quick transition. Let's say you want to have your transition be longer. If I right click or 2-finger click on that transition, it'll show Precision Editor. If I click this, it pulls up how long that transition is, and I can actually drag it out and make it a longer transition. If I close Precision Editor, I'll now have a longer, this is actually a 4-second transition. A little long for a transition, but I'm just showing you an example of how this could work. So now if I press play, you'll see that the transition goes much slower into the flag itself. Always need to be careful of this because you don't want to have transitions taking too long or being too clunky. Now, let's say we don't want that transition. If there's ever a time in iMovie you've added something you want to get rid of, you can either do Command Z to get rid of it, or you can click on it once and press the delete button, and it's now gone. Now, if you pay attention to the picture when I press play, it's slowly zooming into the center of the flag. Each photo you add in automatically goes with this method. But if you want to change this, if we go up to the picture once it's selected and we click on this cropping icon, we can see that it starts on the outside and ends right here with a zoom in. We can click fit. It will just show the entire image the whole time. There's no zooming. It is that image the whole time. You can also go to crop to fill or key burns, and you can move around where it moves to. You can have it have a lot of movement. You can have it not move much. And as you make the clip longer, it's going to be moving slower across the screen. Now, I've shown you transitions and titles. For maps and backgrounds, backgrounds are nice, but they can be very distracting for having text on them, so I usually avoid them. But for this project, if say we're working on a country, Ethiopia, we can add a really cool effect on a map. So let's go with Old World Globe. Now, if you add anything from pictures, titles, or anything, you click it and drag it down. So now I have my world map. Now, if it's selected, you always get your options for your selected item up in this right corner. Now, it says my route from San Francisco to another option. Well, you can choose any major city in America and most other countries. Now, a small town like Forest City is unlikely to be on something like this, but Charlotte, which is close to us, is very likely. So let's start typing in Charlotte. So I start typing in, my options got smaller. Now I have Charlotte, North Carolina, USA. I can click on this and select Done. So now our starting point on the map is now Charlotte. Now we can choose where we want to go to. And I can actually choose Ethiopia, the country. So now, if I press play, we can see actually a flight from Charlotte to Ethiopia. Now, very fast, so it could be hard to follow. So if I just wanted to make that clip longer, remember I go to the right side of the screen, and I can drag it out to where now it's 6 seconds long. So now if I press play, by clicking and pressing the space bar, it's a slower flight from Charlotte to Ethiopia. Now, of course, if I dragged it out too long, it would seem awkwardly long, but it's a very good example of something you could do with a map and background. Now, adding sound to your video. One thing you can do is click on iTunes. Now, I have songs on my iTunes that I could click, I could search for, and if I click and drag it down, I can put underneath, and now I have this song attached to my video. Now, one mistake a lot of students do is they add a song that has a lot of words to it, a lot of music, and it really doesn't fall with either the idea of the song or it drowns out their words. So instrumental songs are very good. Now, if you don't have any songs on your iTunes, you can make them in GarageBand or use the songs already provided. So I'm not going to use this The 18th by Ed Sheeran, so I'm just going to highlight it and click delete. It's now off the video. I can go with sound effects. Now, sound effects is going to pull up all the sound effects that come with iMovie. These are all already provided. You can have stuff like a typewriter, a barn door closing, but if we want actually like a background song, I like to choose time to go for the longest songs they have and pick something appropriate. So I've already chosen one, piano ballad. I'm going to drag it down. Now you see that has all these ups and downs. This shows you when the song changes sound. So if I press play real quick, we can hear it. And we can see that when it was up in the yellow, it was loud, and then when it faded down, it got quieter. Now, Let's say your video, you want the music to be there, but to be a little bit softer. So let's zoom in a little bit so we can actually see what we're doing. Okay. So this middle line right here is your volume. If I click on it, I can actually drag it and go from 100% to 400 down to 50%, all the way down to 0%, make it quiet. So I can actually lower the volume of the song itself. Now, let's say you want to fade in a song. If you want to fade in a song, you'll see a small circle here. I can click on it and drag it to the left, and I can fade in the song. You can fade in for 2 seconds, 4 seconds, go all the way out as far as you want to. You can also do this on the end of your song. You can fade it out. Now, let's say the first part of your video, you want sound, but then you want to start talking later in the video, but you would still like the music to go on later in the video. If you select a certain part where you have this line, you can right click and say split clip. I have now created this song into 2 pieces. So as far as iMovie is concerned, these are 2 separate songs. So I could fade this one out, and as it fades out, I can also lower this volume to be a lower volume. That way when I'm speaking over top of it, I can be heard better. Now be careful, you don't want the music to make it hard for people to understand you. Also be careful with clipping songs separately. It can get difficult to make sure that they match up, and things can get a little bit messy. Now I'm going to zoom back out so we can see a little bit more of what's happening with the video. So right now I have a video that has 17 seconds of footage. With the song being a minute and a half, the video will play for another minute and a half. Now, one important thing for videos to convey a lot of information for a project is voiceovers. You can be careful here because too much information can be hard for the viewer to really comprehend. So, let's say I want to add a voiceover to the beginning of my video. So I click to the left, so now this cursor's here. I can drag it left or right wherever I want to be more accurate. You can press the letter V for voiceover. You can also press this microphone. So if you press the letter V or the microphone, you'll see a microphone pop up. Now, if it's working, and I snap a little bit, you'll see that the volume goes up, and I can click record, and it gives me a countdown for the voiceover. Now your voiceover will go wherever you placed it. You can see and raise and lower the volume. Mine currently is experiencing some technical difficulties, so you don't see, but if your voiceover is done correctly, you'll see lines of how your voice is doing, and you can raise your volume or lower your volume how you see fit. So now if you want to see what you have as a whole, we can click here. I'm going to drag down my volume so it's not too loud on this song. If I click play, you can see your videos as it looks at the current time. Now once you're done with your complete video, to make it into a video that you can put on a flash drive or submit, we go to the upper right and we click share. Now once we click share, we want to go to iTunes. On iTunes, it's going to automatically save for HD. If you do that, the file is going to be very large and hard to do. This one will only be a minute and 36 seconds. It's already going to be 121 megabytes. But if I go down to a standard, it all goes all the way down to 18 megabytes, which is much smaller, can fit more easily on a flash drive. And then you click share. And after you click that, you'll have a circle in the upper right hand corner. This is going to take a little bit. This is not a quick process, so be patient. Do not start this and then close your computer. You need to leave it open so it has time to complete this. Then you can find your video in your iTunes and drag it to your desktop or to a flash drive to turn in. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me. I'll be glad to help. Have a great day.